Time again, we are reminded of the massive damage that terrorists cause, even with just a little money. Today, terrorist groups have more money than some small countries. ISIS is the richest terrorist organization in world history, bringing in over $1 billion in 2014 alone. Drawing on these funds, ISIS has managed to stage terrorist attacks throughout the world and kill thousands of people. ISIS is not alone. Terrorists raise billions annually to carry out their bloody agendas. This is precisely why our government agencies have been tasked with stemming the flow of money to terrorist groups. When we can separate the terrorists from their money, lives can be saved. According to the Treasury Department, the underlying vulnerabilities within the U.S. financial system today, quote, remain largely the same as those identified in 2005. Terrorists are still able to park and move cash through financial systems. Part of the problem is that the United States still does not have a comprehensive strategy across all American agencies to combat terrorist financing. Policies and priorities differ from one agency to the next in a seemingly ad hoc fashion. In fact, there isn't even a clear method by which our various agencies can coordinate their efforts. Agencies working on a counter-terrorist finance had previously coordinated through the Terrorist Financing Working Group. However, this working group has been on a hiatus for some time, and agencies are forced to coordinate informally. Another tool to counter terrorist financing that hasn't been used, designation of domestic charities. According to the Treasury Department's website, the United States has not blacklisted any charities since the February of 2009 designation of the Tamil Foundation. There are also non-concrete metrics in place to measure the effectiveness of counter-terrorist finance efforts, making it difficult to determine the need and appropriate tools required for a successful strategy. For instance, the Counter-ISIL Finance Cell was established in late 2014 to work on intelligent collection and operations to cut off ISIS financing. The administration says that the cell has significantly improved our understanding of ISIS's financial activity. This is a start, but what are the cell's metrics of success? What are its goals, and how do we know if it's doing a good job? Beyond its own government efforts, we still have a long way to go when it comes to cooperating with our international partners to counter terror finance, to ensure our efforts are not fragmented and that our respective skills and intelligence are leveraged correctly. Sometimes our international partners seem to be doing exactly the opposite of what our policy is. According to U.S. government figures, terrorist groups earned over $165 million between 2000 and 2014 from governments that make ransom payments. To better understand the significance of this troubling trend, Treasury Undersecretary David Cohen said in 2012 that kidnapping for ransom has become so lucrative for terrorists that it's today's most significant source of terrorist financing. Denying terrorists ransom payments is not just a U.S. policy, it's the international standard championed by the Financial Action Task Force, the Counter-ISIL Financing Group, and the United Nations. International noncompliance with anti-terror financing standards does not just end there. According to a Financial Action Task Force report, almost every country in the world has enacted anti-terror financing laws, but only 33 of the 194 countries surveyed have actually reported any convictions using these laws. The laws are worthless unless they're put into action. We must do more to get our partners to implement these laws so that they have already passed in their respective nations. Our international partners can also do more to stop the flow of money from private donors to terrorist groups. Between 2013 and 14, ISIS received $40 million from donors in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait. All those countries have terror financing laws on the books, but the money still flows across their borders to ISIS. The more we can improve on both our internal coordination and our international cooperation, the less money terrorists can have. We need more information. We need to have more information, and we know both wildlife trafficking and trade-based money laundering are sources for revenue for terrorists as well. We've simply not collected the necessary intelligence, however, and done the required analysis to understand these sources. Going after sources of revenue for terrorists can be a powerful tool to render them powerless. Terrorists need money to pay their fighters, buy their weapons, and pull off the attacks. If we can work to deny them the money, that means we are a big step closer to defeating terrorists worldwide. I'll now yield to the gentleman from South Carolina to make his opening statement.